better. From the beginning. From the beginning. Okay. That's so much better. Now we've got things going. Okay. So, first, the way to do this is to divide and conquer. Pick a spot, learn that, move on to another part, move on to another. Because if you just kind of go, you're going to look at the map and be like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And then you'll vomit, and then you'll have to have another test, and it'll just be too much effort. So, the way to divide it, Greater Antilles, Atlantic Caribbean, Lesser Antilles, and then divide the Lesser Antilles into the Leeward Islands, the Windward Islands, the Leeward Antilles.
Well, your slides on camera.
Yes.
Okay.
They are. This integrity, I said integrity, all the classes that were in here.
Okay.
And so you get integrity, and then I'm going to put this up online for you guys too.
Okay.
Okay. So let's do that. Let's divide and conquer.
Shoot.
So the Greater Antilles. The Greater Antilles means a set of islands, right? And so the Greater Antilles, this is where the Spanish get first, and these are all the first islands to be invaded, all that kind of stuff. So, Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, and we're going to put the Cayman Islands in there. Geographically, they are actually, geography would be like, not part of the Greater Antilles. But we're going to put it in there because otherwise they are actually on the Central American shelf, continental shelf. So there's a big trench right there that separates them from the rest of this. So geologically, they're not really part of the Caribbean. They're actually on the trench, Central America. That's beside the point. This is, we're gonna put them in there. Okay. Don't worry about the Bahamas yet. So this is what we're doing for the Greater Antilles, okay? Greater Antilles, these are the 4 biggest islands in the Caribbean, plus the Caymans.
And do we need to know all the Caymans or just the Caymans?
No.
Cayman Islands is good.
Hispaniola is this. So when I say Hispaniola, it means Little Spain. That's what the Spanish named this, and it's both of those things. But there are 2 countries on that island. So yeah.
Wait, what is that collection of? Are we
This is the Bahamas. You don't need to know.
Okay,
that.
I was about to say.
So you're learning from the Greater Antilles is 4 islands. It's Cuba, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and Jamaica.
And then add on the Cayman.
And we're adding in the Caymans.
Okay.
Alright.
Okay. Just for regionality.
Is the Cayman Islands considered one nation?
Yes.
Okay.
They are one nation.
So they have one capital?
Grand Cayman is where the capital is, but then there are 2 other islands.
It don't have
Grand
a
Cayman
capital.
is not the capital,
Okay.
but it's where
Do the other 2
capital
islands
is.
have their own capitals?
They actually don't. There are some other island clusters
There we
that
go.
they will, but
Yeah.
this one, no.
Okay.
So when you're, just for your hint, when you're looking for where the capital is, look to
It's
the
on the
Grand
Grand.
Cayman. It's on Grand Cayman. Okay. All right. Next set to learn would be the Lesser Antilles. And I'll go through all these, so I'm just gonna go flipping through them and then we'll stop at each one. And the Lesser Antilles are from east of Puerto Rico and down here.
So including the
greater,
Virgin Islands?
yes.
Okay.
So the Greater Antilles are here, the Lesser Antilles start here and come down. Okay, and they, some people include this, but we're gonna use this group as a different group as well, and the Bahamas are gonna be a different group, okay? So Lesser Antilles start with the Virgin Islands and then end up in Trinidad. Okay? Then there's the Atlantic Caribbean islands, and that is the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos. So when we were looking at the Greater Antilles, you're like, but there's a whole bunch of up there. That's the Atlantic Caribbean islands. Technically, they are not in the Caribbean. The Caribbean is here. It's south of all of these islands and west of the Lesser Antilles is the Caribbean. This is actually the Atlantic Ocean, but we call it the Caribbean. So, these are a cluster here, the Bahamas. There is only one capital for them, so everybody goes to the capital. Does anybody know what that capital is?
Yes, you're right.
Close.
Of what?
Nassau.
Yeah,
Nassau.
And we only need to know just the just the Bahamas and the Turks and the Caicos.
For the greater, as we're taking chunks, and we're going to learn just the chunks. And so this section, if you're learning it in chunks, there are just two in this chunk.
Okay.
Turks and Caicos, again, also only has, they all go to the island with the capital city on that island. This one actually, to answer your question, actually there are two things that you could put there, and
Okay.
either one would be correct.
All right.
Okay.
For capitals.
Yeah. Then the next one, because the Lesser Antilles, that's a lot of islands to try and figure out. So break the Lesser Antilles into the Leeward Islands and the Windward Islands. Any sailors in here? Kind of. So when you're sailing, you've got the one side where the wind comes at you and the one side that the wind goes away from. So this is the Leeward Islands is the, facing away from the wind, and the Windward Islands is coming into the wind. So the hurricanes do this. It's a big circle like that. So that's how those get those names. And then these are the Leeward Antilles, and we'll do that in another chunk. So first, go from the best place. Actually, this map didn't do it. If I had drawn the map myself, I would do the Leeward Islands and put the line here at Guadeloupe, and then learn from there down. The reason why I would do that is because this is a really good island to use as an anchor. So when you're looking at the map and you're like, I don't know where I am, right, Guadeloupe, because it looks like a little butterfly. And so, the butterfly island, Guadeloupe, right, okay, got it. And then you can kind of go backwards and figure out, where you were with that as your anchor, and you can go forwards with that. So if you use that butterfly island as kind of like your kind of anchor wobble point, it kind of makes it easier. So I would do and in some maps that is the bottom of the Leeward Islands, and in other maps they make it Dominica. So there's kind of like a disconnect with people who make maps as to where things are. And part of it is because of cruise ships. Cruise ships will go down, and then they'll stop here, and then other cruise ships for their leeward cruises, they'll stop in Guadeloupe. And so that's part of why it's messed up. It's not because geographically the line is actually there, but the cruise ships. And then, so in our Leeward Islands, the top ones, we've got Anguilla, Antigua, down there, Barbuda, Guadeloupe here, Montserrat is there, Nevis is here, St. Bartholomew's is, where's St. Bart's? Oh, right, St. Bart's is up there, St. Eustatius, St. Kitts, and St. Martin is way up after Anguilla. Don't learn them alphabetically, because you will never figure out where you're going. Learn it top down. And kind of do a little circle here, because Barbuda sits out. So, figure out which way you're coming down.
I think we're in the capital.
Yeah, those are the capitals. So you're lucky they're here, but they aren't all correct. They aren't all correct.
Yeah.
So it's on campus. So Some of these are wrong. So again, this is the map that we're using. I know it's not very clear. It's very hard to get a good map of the Lesser Antilles. Virgin Islands down this way. And then see how easy it is to see Guadeloupe?
Yeah.
That's why it's such a good anchor. So you can be like, oh, Barbuda and Antigua. Okay, now I know where I am.
And then
Okay.
Dominica's underneath it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that Dominican?
Mhm. Okay, so that's why that's a good kind of like, okay, I know where I am.
This PowerPoint will be on.
Yes. Okay, so then the windwards start with Dominica and come down this way. And for this, two good anchors, the furthest east of all the Caribbean islands is Barbados. So if you get down there and you're like, oh my God, where am I? And there's this outlier there. Oh, right, that's always going to be Barbados. This funky looking one right here, always Trinidad. I'm going to have a little caret there because you need to also, it's one country, but you need to put both names because people in Tobago, if you forget about Tobago, get really, really hurt. People like Trinidad and Tobago, you know, so just don't forget that. And Tobago has its own capital.
Wait,
Oh.
is Tobago the one that kind of looks like Italy, or is that?
No, this
Okay.
is Trinidad.
Okay.
And Tobago's a little island. So, it has its own administrative capital. So they have
Do we just say both or just one?
You need both. Yes. So you'll put Trinidad and you'll put Tobago.
TT.
TNT. Okay. So we're going down. We've got the Lesser Antilles, all Lesser Antilles, the Leeward, the Windward. Also, the way to remember that is L comes before W. Leeward, Windward. Then the Leeward Antilles. And the ones you need to know on that are, they're called the ABC Islands, which is why I put that map, but of course, on a map, they aren't in alphabetical order. So Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire,
So the ACB island.
the ACB, the ACB. So Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire. This is Venezuela here.
Yeah.
So right above Venezuela. And when Columbus came in, he came in on his second voyage, third voyage, one of the voyages. He came in this way and came through this area, got caught in a big wave that was coming out of the Orinoco River. But he also realized that, oh my gosh, Eden is here. He decided this was Eden because there was a whole lot of fresh water, and so he realized there was a continent there. There was like a big, huge, solid landmass because of the fresh water that was coming out of here. But he never got a chance to explore Eden because the big tidal wave came over and almost knocked his ship over, and he got the heck out of Dodge quickly. So, but he was convinced he had found Eden. So those guys are here, Curacao, Curacao, Bonaire, and Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. And I'll have numbers on them all, so you don't have to. You won't have to like pick out which ones are which, but you can. The number will be there. So you can say that one is. Okay, so we go through these. The one that I did miss is, I didn't say it when I did this, was the Virgin Islands. Virgin Islands, two sets of Virgin Islands. We've got the US Virgin Islands and the British Virgin Islands. So alphabetically it goes backwards. So after Puerto Rico, you have the US Virgin Islands. And then you have the British Virgin Islands. Okay, and there are sets of islands, but only one capital for the set.
Sure.
Okay. So, I mean, the US Virgin Islands has its capital, and the British Virgin Islands has its capital. Okay, after that, the very first one starts with an A, it's Anguilla. So it's right there. And then St. Martin, you should be able to do this, just kind of thinking of how, don't do it alphabetically because you'll drive yourself crazy. Do it spatially. So you have US, British Virgin Islands, then Anguilla, then St. Martin, then St. Bart's. The map is so weird that these Dutch islands here, just pick one because they kind of look like the same place. So you can either put Saba or put St. Eustatius on that, when I put the number at that point. Just make sure you put the right capital. For if it's Saba, put the right capital for that one. If you put St. Eustatius, put the right capital for that. So if you put, you know, the capital for St. Eustatius with Saba, it is wrong. So here, after St. Bart's, you've got, there'll be a number here for either Saba or St. Eustatius, whichever one you decide to put there. Then you've got St. Kitts and Nevis. St. Kitts and Nevis, and most things say that they're one place. They both actually have administrative capitals. So make sure you have a capital for each, a different capital for each one. A lot of documents will give Nevis's capital as St. Kitts capital, because to get a lot of government documents, you actually have to take the ferry right over to St. Kitts. But you can do administrative work, and they have a parliament on Nevis. So you can actually live your life and never leave Nevis. So make sure you know the capitals of both of those. The other one where you're going to have that issue is Barbuda and Antigua. That is a long distance between those two. And so they've, the Barbuda, before the hurricane, did all their administrative things and tried desperately not to have to go to Antigua. So Barbudans were really trying not to do that. Now, there's, after last year's hurricane, they evacuated everybody to Antigua. But they do have a capital there, and they're trying to reassert themselves as an independent place. The country is Antigua and Barbuda. So like in the Olympics, when you see the flag, it's a flag with both nations. Barbudans are really independent though. They really want you to know that they have their own capital and they can do their own thing. And they're trying desperately now to move back there and rebuild the island. So make sure you have that one. Then Montserrat and Guadeloupe. Don't worry about Marie Galante, it's a part of Guadeloupe. So, all the French islands are actually not independent countries. The French islands are departments of France. It's like a state of France. So you are in France when you're in Guadeloupe. You're in France when you're in Martinique. So that's one interesting thing about them. But they do have administrative capitals there, so you need to know what the administrative capital of Guadeloupe is, Martinique. Okay? All right, so that's the leeward, which L comes before W, then the windward, got Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. That's the same place. St. Vincent. So if you just write St. Vincent, it's wrong. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is the name of the country. Okay? But the capital is on St. Vincent. And Grenada. And then you come over to the other side, and it's Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago. I always say Tobago,
Yeah.
but that's because of my Spanish. And when I went down there and was hanging out on that, I was like, so I like being in Tobago. They're like, but you're not. You're in Tobago. so yes, it's very British.
Is it Nevis or Nevis?
Yeah, that's what
Yes.
I was about to.
Because I've heard like.
Yeah, I've heard Nevis. That's what I thought.
Yeah, but somebody from the island will say Nevis.
Okay.
Visas and
There are a bunch of them that are kind of weird, like Anguilla. Some people say Anguilla, and some
Yeah.
people say Anguilla. I go by what my friend from the island says, which is Anguilla. But I've actually
Anguilla.
heard on the island people say Anguilla too, so. And this is another hard one. Dominica or Dominica. Dominica on the island, they call it Dominica. It sounds like because of their because of their patois. It sounds like Dominica, but it's Dominica, really. Okay, so those are your places. Yes, and you can do this
Yeah, it's gonna take some study.
exactly, which is why I'm starting now. Starting this now. I want you to make yes.
Are there like blank maps that we could print out?
Yes, I'm
on
gonna give you
Canvas?
the blank,
Okay.
which will be the map, it just won't have the numbers on
Okay.
it. And I will put them up online for you, so
Okay.
you can access that. And this will be up as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Just know that, I mean, there are capitals on this, but
Yeah.
they're not all correct.
Okay.
So these are older maps that I put up here. So just make sure you get the capital as of 2018. Okay. What else do I want to say on this? Yeah, just you know, pop me a message if you're having problems or trying to find sources to find the information or anything like that. My goal is to have you be really good navigators and get through this with 78% or above kind of thing. Would be my hope. Notice I didn't say 90. I understand this is difficult, but I kind of want you to be able to navigate it. If too many people are kind of below the 78-80% thing, then I'm going to do it again. But I really want you guys to try and do this well
Yeah.
the first time. But I do recognize that, this is not like, your average map. So it is difficult. So I will give you a chance to reassert your navigational skills if the class is kind of tilting awkwardly. Yeah. But as a group, I want you guys to do well. Individually, I want you to do well too. The one thing I don't have up here that you also have to know are the countries that are on the other side of the Caribbean. So Central America. You need to know those.
Is there like one list in this PowerPoint that just has every name?
Wait, so we need to know Central America?
Wait.
All of?
So that's,
This is everything.
Mexico, Panama.
Wait, is there Mexico?
there's a lot of,
I did not put those on here, but
There's a lot.
that
I noticed
map.
yeah.
But like,
It's like Latin.
Start with Mexico.
this is the ones that have memorized already.
I think I have that up.
True.
online.
It's gonna be a big.
I'll send it to you. It's coming to you. So these guys. Sideways.
Is it upside down?
The other way?
Sideways.
Oh yeah, it's sideways.
Sideways. I
So-
don't know how to turn it.
I don't think there is a way. Well, maybe.
But yeah, it's so
Wait, where are
this.
we? Wait, where are we?
Mexico. We are up there.
Well, I mean, like, I'm trying to figure
This
out.
sideways. So this is Mexico, and this is Central
Oh,
America,
okay.
and here's our Greater Antilles and
Okay.
all that. There. So you can print this out and turn it the way
And
it's
where is all
supposed to
this?
go.
Is this in the PowerPoint all in the same place or?
This will be sent to you separately.
Okay.
But on Canvas, I will send you this map and the Caribbean one. Yes.
So from Mexico to South America as
Mexico
well.
to Colombia.
Okay.
Do we need to know
You
those
don't need
three
to know.
countries on the tip of South America?
Yes.
French
Oh, yeah.
Guiana.
Venezuela, Colombia.
You need to know through.
So it's the top five.
Holy moly.
All this. this is all part of the Caribbean. These are all Caribbean focused. They're more Caribbean focused than they are Latin American focused.
Oh, so are those considered the Caribbean or South America?
They're considered Latin America, but they have Caribbean coasts.
Okay.
So all of them have had influence. Pirates of the Caribbean hit Caracas and Dutch Guyana and all those places. They came out. You know, one of the main pirate hubs was Curacao, and they would attack what's called Tierra Firma here. And so this is all important. Panama here, really important for Caribbean when we get to our pirate thing. So all of this is really important. So you need to know those. There's one country in Central America that does not touch the Caribbean. And you still need to know it. So you do need to know that too. This is, I don't feel like I need to go over this one. This one's much easier to find and to figure out. I do want to remind you that as you're doing the little minutia things, that this big picture is out there too. Okay, minutia. It's a good word. Okay, good.
Good.
Golden.
Golden.
And if you guys want, at some point before the exam, sometime next week, we can do a study session in class.
Yeah.
Yes,
That'd be
that
lovely.
sounds good. That sounds, yeah.
So probably won't get the message you're gonna send doing this assignment all over the
Yeah,
place
yeah.
for anyone before.
Like
Because I'm not even gonna miss it. So I haven't gotten any of the thing you sent out.
Okay, but
Yeah.
And I
if
couldn't
you
get
take
to the
this
video.
right now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
it's
it was
on
at
there.
5.
Thank you so much.
So
It's booked.
Yeah.
If you miss it, I can send you
it
whatever.
might actually be on it by tonight.
Yeah, I can also, if you send anything,
What
I'll ask
section? Is this
Brendan.